Welcome back, folks, once again to Talking Stocks with Dan the Stockman, where we review top public company executives to give us insight on where they are today and what the future may hold. I'm your co-host, George with a J, and without further ado, your host, the one and only, the brother from another mother, from Clearwater, Florida, Dan the Stockman.
Yeah. So I think that, one of the big structural and organizational changes that we made, other than obviously, massively reducing headcount, which was heavily weighted into like middle and upper management, right? And actually the plant level people, we saw next to no deletion when we made our large reduction in headcount. One of the large, I call it, philosophical changes that occurred in line with that, driven by me and some of our other key executives, is re-establishing who works for who. I think, in organizations that are quite large, there's this misconception that if someone reports to you, they work for you. And that's actually the opposite of the truth. So, the way that we've established it in Wildpack is the highest level leaders, me kind of playing as an illustration of that, me being the CEO and COO, I actually work for the people below me in the sense that my job is to make their lives and jobs easier, because they're the people that actually have a positive impact on their customers by doing, filling cans better, right? So, as we made that change, one of the first things that I did as a leader was I went and slept legitimately on a cot at our facilities. And it really turned the tide in, corporate culture at Wildpack, in that your operational leaders are there to remove obstacles, and they're in the plants doing those things and seeing those things and feeling those things. And it really had a major uplift in productivity, because again, like I said, rather than, folks at the bottom making spreadsheets for folks like me that sit in an office somewhere to make corporate decisions, I'm making corporate decisions from the floor, seeing things in real life, working with and partnering with operators to essentially make better products, right?
Just to be clear, sorry to interrupt. When we talk cot, are we talking one of those cushy blow-up size air mattresses?
Is that military
like
stuff,
a
man?
Bag
Yeah,
carpet?
that's a great question.
We're talking about an $85 Amazon cost.
I actually think that's that's breaking news. Actually, that's a real bullish statement by Mitch. And since we're recording this, and we talked about it in the past, but this will be out there for future reference. I mean, tell us a little bit about, you put money into this in the sense you had, I don't know if any job is safe these days, but a kind of cushy corporate job, but you and some other smart guys like yourself decided to leave that. So, I mean, are you down on your investment? You left the corporate job. Just tell the audience and the future audience, the opportunity you saw here, why you guys left those corporate jobs. And
I was a corporate attorney at one of the largest law firms in the country. Thomas was the exact same. Ryan was a manager, soon to be partner at one of the larger accounting firms. Steve, is a very successful entrepreneur. So, me, Tommy, and Ryan, left very well-established corporate jobs with very clear trajectories, which, I'm not going to say it's a cushy life, but because those folks work a ton, but it's definitely a financially safe life to put all of the money that we have at stake in the business and all of those things. Steve obviously was the largest early investor, so call it, at the most risky stage of the business, he injected almost all of the capital, which was a sizable portion of his net worth. So from an alignment perspective, I don't know that there's a management team or group of entrepreneurs in the company whose personal financial outputs are so directly linked to the success of the underlying business that they manage as our team. At these levels, we're all at or below break even. And the portion of the shares that a large portion of the shares we own are in, call them like options and whatnot, which are all underwater at these levels. So we are very motivated, obviously from the financial outputs, but frankly, and you kind of alluded to this because you talked to me a bunch. For us, this is our first major business. The glory is what matters, and the success is what matters, and making our shareholders a lot of money is what matters.
And every great company, I think, has to have a sleep on the cot story or sleep in the car for at least a period of time. But eventually, the last seller sells. The last desperate seller finally gets out. I think when the company, it's their first time running a public company, maybe they overpromised coming right out of the gates, and a lot of that was based off M&A and maybe projecting a higher share price to use with some of the acquisitions and so forth. So I think at this point, people like them that they take a step back. Let's prove what's going on in the business. Let's not, especially we don't want to see any more dilution of equity down at this price. So once they break 50% utilization, according to my notes, that's the number that matters. That's when the company starts really crossing this line to be profitable business. And when you look at small cap stocks like this, all the studies show that's when some of your biggest gains are going to be made, is when a company crosses that line from losing a little bit of money, growth business, right into profitability. And I don't think the market really knows the story. I think people will be surprised at how this business can continue to grow. And again, the total addressable market is large. So only a 26 million market cap on a company that very well could do 40, 50 million in revenues this year. I think that's about what they're guiding for. So paying a less than one-time sales, you got a team of guys here with skin in the game. They stand out against their competition as one of the only ones that really reduces complexity for the customer, plus better on the pricing. So
huge.
I think that's pretty much it for me. So
yeah, right on, Mitch.
It's a stock I own.
Yeah, no kidding. So do I. Mitch, we love the story. Man, what a talk about a great little mini documentary, the whole cop picture, skin in the game, kind of like that shoddy, cushy, job, with some of its imperfections, as you'd mentioned, but right into something just so unique. Start separating yourself. Man, I love the story, man. Keep up the good work, Mitch. You're doing great, at least in my book. Once again,
that's
folks,
the pack.
That's the pack. Cans, right out.
Go pack. It's all about the culture of personality, too. I think that's an important concept for people. Small growth stocks, possibly the cult of personalities here. Let's get some more video, maybe inside the plant.
No, totally. Look, see the people and awesome stuff. That would be it. I'd love to see the cot. I'm really interested.
All right, let's let these guys.
Yeah, we'll let Mitch go. Thanks for tuning in, Mitch. Appreciate it, man. And thanks again. Thanks again for tuning in. This was Talking Stocks with Dan.